Zwelinzima says Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga should be fired unless she can account for the Limpopo textbook debacle. And President Jacob Zuma says China-Africa trade and investment relations should be reformed by encouraging diversification and benefication of resources from African countries. I'm Richard Brooks. COSATU's General Secretary Zwelinzima says Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga should be fired unless she can account for the Limpopo textbook debacle. Vavi said earlier that the ANC and its alliance partners were to blame for government's failure to deliver books on time to Limpopo learners.
The Minister of Basic Education must answer serious questions. For example, why when they have intervened through Section 101B in December last year, but then in June, July, they will then claim that they don't know that books have not been delivered. The president must ask questions from her, and if she can't answer those questions to the satisfaction of the president, she should be shown the door as well.
President Jacob Zuma says China-Africa trade and investment relations should be reformed by encouraging diversification and benefication of resources from African countries. Zuma was addressing the Ministerial Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in the Chinese capital, Beijing. China has pledged $20 billion in credit for Africa over the next 3 years, in a push for closer ties and increased trade. Zuma explains.
As we all agree, this trade pattern is unsustainable in the long term. Africa's past economic experience with Europe dictates a need to be cautious when entering into partnerships with other economies. We certainly are convinced that China's intention is different to that of Europe, which to date continued to attempt to influence African countries for their sole benefits.
CEO of Grain SA, Jannie de Villiers, says the recent cold and snow over parts of the country were good news for grain farmers. He says winter wheat will benefit. He says the maize harvest is almost complete and the cold did not harm the maize. However, more rain could create problems.
I think the rain, if it's just a little bit here and there, it will probably delay the harvesting a little bit. But we're about a month ahead of last year because, of the dry spells that we had and the heat waves that we had, in midsummer. So therefore, it won't be a problem in terms of supply. It might harvest a little bit later. Last year we had a very late because of the late rains and a lot of rains.
English giants Manchester United defeated Amazulu by 1-0 in the MTN Invitational Tour match at the Moses Mabhida Stadium last night. It was a game of missed opportunities in both halves, but the Red Devils managed to find the back of the net through striker Federico Macheda. United manager Sir Alex Ferguson credited Amazulu for a good match.
Yeah, I think that Amazulu showed a lot of good positive signs in the second half in particular. I think they changed their tactics a little bit in terms of getting top of us quicker to those positions, making it more difficult for us to play the ball forward. In the first half we had some good openings through Berbatov and our strikers splitting well, and it caused them some problems. But in the second half we're less so. So credit to Amazulu that way.